Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Vision Possible live stream.
Yes,
June
so good to be here.
Hey guys, thank you all for tuning in as people are coming on. We're just going to give you some instructions on how you can send in your questions. We are live. Those of you who have joined us before know how this works. You can send in your questions through the comment section, via text message, and so much more. So there's your information down below. So wherever you're joining us, Facebook, YouTube, or XOTV, you can leave your comments. You can leave your comments there. Well, if you notice, we are down one person today. Julianne is not with us today, but that's okay.
She has other things. We had some stuff happen. It was beyond our control today, and so Julianne sends her love. She's her red hair will be missed, but this means Carly's even more outnumbered by guys this time. So just deal with it, Carly.
Dang it!
Sorry, Carly.
Just deal with it, Carly Hartman.
Well, it is the month of June, guys. You know what that means?
What does that mean?
We're halfway through the year.
Halfway.
I can't even, guys, really. I mean, no one knows. When you get older like me, you don't realize, you really start to understand how fast time goes. Because like 10 years ago, I just posted something the other day. My father passed away 10 years ago. And I remember the day it happened like it was yesterday. But time goes by so quick. So make every moment count, people.
10 years ago is when you were 29. Imagine that.
I know. I'm only 39, and look, I look great for 39. What can I say? But I don't want to intimidate you guys too much. Anyway, how are you guys? How's everybody doing? I haven't seen you guys for a while. You've been out Vision Possibling for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think in all of our lives right now, man, we've got just so many good things. We're seeing our vision made possible. And by the way, if anyone's watching right now who doesn't know what we do or who don't know who we are, we're the Vision Possible team. We're coaches, and we oversee the Vision Possible coaching team. And basically, we are passionate about seeing your vision become reality, right?
Exactly.
In your heart, come out into the marketplace, and whatever you're called into, whatever you feel like you need to leave this world, we help you make it happen. And so that's what we're passionate about, seeing your daydream become your day job, your 5 to 9 become your 9 to 5, however you want to say it, right?
There you go.
That's what we're excited about. And the special thing about us is that we walk the walk and talk the talk. We just don't talk the talk. We've actually done it. We've already, and we're living. And that's what Butch was saying. Like we all have businesses. We all do different things. We're all from different industries. And so yeah, that's who we are. And for more information, by the way, you can go to visionpossible.net. That's where the information is. But we are here live, and the goal of tonight is to take your questions. So send them in. I don't see any questions coming through quite yet on the chat, but we have some saved from last time. And so I'm going to start with a question, if y'all are good with that.
I'm good.
All right. So this is a question that came in last time. How do you set boundaries, there it is on the screen, for busy work versus tedious work?
Whoa.
That's Carly a good Hartman. One. Carly, why don't you take this one?
Wow. Okay. I would say so I do like a lot of schedule blocking, because there are some things that are just considered busy work to me, but you have to get it done because it's required for you to get it done to be successful at your job. And so I have like operational / busy work, you could say, in the same category. And then I have like strategic, tedious work that's like requires a lot of focus. So what I have been doing lately is I have a big Outlook calendar that all my meetings are on, but in those little blank parts that don't have meetings, you're like, oh, wow, I'm free. I can work on whatever I want. Well, I wasn't being as productive when I left those spots open, because something just comes up, you see a notification, you see whatever, and then you're just distracted and you don't actually get done what you're supposed to get done originally when you started your work day. So first of all, I write down top 3 things I need to get done for my day on my little whiteboard on my desk. So I get those 3 things done throughout the day. But when I have bigger projects I'm working on that require both busy work and like strategic work, I block out the time on my calendar that's like booked as a meeting, work on this, work on that. So that way, when that time comes, it tells me that it comes back up, I have to get it done, and I will get it done in that hour or 2 hour block that I booked because I know how much time it will take me to do. So that's how I set the boundaries. I stop it after the time is done, so that way I'm not going over. And I also can move on to the next thing if I finish that early, and so I can just wrap up the day earlier. But that's kind of how I set boundaries. I hope that answers the question. If anyone else has any thoughts, let me know. But that's kind of how I do it, and it's been really helpful. I recommend the book Deep Work for you to read because that's very helpful to learn how to work under hyper focus, which is really cool.
What I like about your answer, though, you categorize things, you organize everything, which is what you're supposed to do. You can't just when you start leaving things unattended and you start leaving things like undone over here and undone over here, and you kind of I want to get all these things done, but then you don't categorize them and organize them, you're never getting anything done. You're going to have a giant desk full of unfinished work that will never be finished. So focusing, getting one thing done at a time really is a practical way to do that. So it was a very good answer.
Yeah, there's a quote out of the book called Essentialism that is also a really good book that I'm about to finish. And it says, if you don't prioritize your life will prioritize you. So yeah, if you're not prioritizing your day, it's just going to tell you what the next best thing is. And then you're going to follow along what your day said, and you couldn't even get done what you wanted to get done.
That's right.
Well said, Carly. I guess I have a question. What is the definition of busy work versus tedious work? When I think most people, when I read that question, I kind of think of busy work as tedious work. But I guess I'd be curious to know what the person who asked the question thought of the difference between those two.
I feel like I just kind of said my own answer, but I feel like the difference, what I thought of it as, was busy work versus strategic work, because I think they are kind of the same thing too. So I just answered it with that. But yeah, I would like to know.
It was a great answer. It was a great answer, and I think you made a really good distinction between strategic versus busy work. So again, I think a lot of it comes down to how you define things and how you categorize, because you were really good at categorizing, Carly. So you kind of had to do that implicitly.
Yeah, one of the things they talk about in the book Extreme Ownership, which I love that book. For those of you who haven't read it, it's incredible. But it talks about meetings the same way. So you have tactical meetings and you have strategic meetings. Tactical meetings is where you're going to get down into the weeds. You're going to get down and think through individual tactics within a given higher level strategy. And then strategy meetings are kind of that higher level overarching strategy, right? And that strategy is maybe multi-year goals, multi-month goals, quarterly goals, whatever it may be. And you have to know the difference. So you can have quick hit 30-minute, 15-minute tactical meetings where you just knock stuff out. And then you sometimes need to have those larger strategy meetings, but they both have their place. And so a lot of times, what you would call busy work, that's just necessary for getting done what the ultimate strategy is that you're planning. And then the other thing I'd mention is that the best way you can multiply your time to focus on more strategic work is by spending time on things today that give you more time on things tomorrow. I've said that before on this stream, and I'll say it again. It's really powerful. Think about what you need to do today that will give you more time tomorrow. Whether maybe that's writing documentation, right, of something that you're doing now that you can hand that off to someone else so that they can do that work for you, right? Or finding those things maybe that are quote unquote tedious that you don't feel are important, and learning how to develop strategy to hand those off. So that's just my 2 cents that I'll add on top of Lily's brilliant answer.
Actually, to add to that, I just feel like I should say this, not that it was at all asked, but preparing for tomorrow, like you're saying, is so good. I used to have a little fear, like in a slower season when I'm working, like, oh my gosh, I want to spread out as much as I can throughout the week because I'm concerned I won't have anything to work on tomorrow because it's like a slower season. So I don't want to get all my stuff done right now, or else I won't have anything to work on the next few days. Well, also, number one, we should not let fear control us because it's so dumb to be afraid of that, but it was something I was afraid of. But number two, what if you do that and then a fire pops up that you need to attend to, or something like goes off the rails that you need to dedicate all your time to, and then you had to still get this other stuff done that you just spread out throughout the week. So the more that you can like just tackle what is top of mind and what needs to be done highest priority right now, the better you set yourself up for success, because then you can even like grow more, pour into yourself more and into your skills, as opposed to like just trying to just spread out as much work throughout the week as you can.
I really like both of those answers, because to me, and of course I always think about things in financial and investment terms, but what you said blew my mind, Nathaniel, about doing something today that's going to give you more time tomorrow. Essentially what investment is. You give something up a little bit right now to
Right.
get more of it back later. Usually we're talking about money and finances, but it's the same principle. And then what you said, Carly, is the same thing. I thought of that as a budget, having a surplus or a deficit. So when you had a surplus, it's like, when I thought about that, it was like, well, I better just like spend my money on some mindless things because I don't want to have too much of it laying around later, and then what if you have an emergency, right? That's where the emergency fund is. And you can spend time with money in both of those examples, and it's an ROI. It's just not a financial ROI, although it very much probably will have a financial ROI. But that was just a really interesting way you guys framed that. That was worth the price of the ticket just for me right there. So I'm good for the rest of this whole thing.
Wow. Ryan, you can send your check to me and I'll get it to Carly.
And you're gonna send a separate check to Carly and Nathaniel for that, right?
Yes.
Sounds right. Hey, we've got a question here from Peter, and I think this is a great question because it really does illustrate how sometimes vision has a set time and it has a growth process to it. So here's the question up on the screen to Mr. Butch Hartman. What is the progress of Oaxis Entertainment?
Oh, very good question. We have been, it's interesting, since we started the project 4 years ago. When I say started, that was like the initial concept. We did our Kickstarter, went great. We raised our goal of $250,000, which is chump change for a streaming service. We ended up developing a platform over and over again. We hired a legal team. We started the process. It's been going very well. We've learned a lot from other streaming services since then. We've been watching other services come and go. We've seen them, and a lot of them have come very quickly and left very quickly. So we have sort of been watching and strategizing in many different ways. Like, okay, they did this, let's not do that. Let's take what this. So we're kind of looking at the best way to do things. And we actually began making some content for Oaxis, which will be out ready to go, hopefully sooner than later, the content, because it's coming out great, but we're doing several projects right now. I can't wait for this project to come out, but a streaming service is a massive animal, and it's a big thing to take care of. So it's going well. It's being worked on every single day. It will be out there sooner than later, hopefully. But I wish I had a correct time for you. I don't want to put a time out there and not hit that time frame. But I'm just excited to have something great to be working on and planning for the future.
Amen. I mean, a good thing takes time. It takes time to.
Well, that's the one thing too. I want to say that too. At the beginning, you're so excited about something. We were so thrilled, and we still are. We're like, let's just put it up and see what happens. But we have learned so well not to just put something out there just because it needs to get out there. It needs to get out of your head. It's got to be done correctly, because first impressions are everything. They really, really are. And we want to make sure we make a good first impression.
Ryan, you remember this. I used to always say this to you. But what did I always say about your first shot? Remember the
he makes a bad one or a good one?
I would always talk about the silver bullet. Like, don't send out that email yet.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Don't launch that web page yet. Yeah. Just wait. Let's get it right, and then we'll send out that fundraiser email.
Yeah. No, I could not agree more. I think that's a great point, because sometimes the investment takes years and years of toiling in obscurity when nobody can see anything, but that's when actually things are happening. There's just like, it's a seed that's growing beneath the surface. And then to everybody else, all of a sudden one day overnight, you hit this massive success, but really it's been what you've been working on in the background. And I sometimes think, we can be premature in trying to launch those things. So I've seen that myself a lot of times, Butch. Like even when I'm looking at a business or investment opportunity, I spend a ton of time upfront thinking, plotting, what if this, what if that, like looking into every aspect. And then all of a sudden, when I've gone through that process and I know it's really solid, then I can go in and things happen explosively and really quickly. But it was after a period of due diligence and really looking well into the matter.
I don't care. I had to get over this too. I don't care if it takes 10 or 20 years for this to come out. It's got to come out correctly. And, just because I didn't get it out in a year or something like that doesn't mean that it's not coming out. It's going to come out for sure, but it has to be correct and it has to be right. It's also, I believe it's timing too. I think the timing is getting even better for a family-friendly streaming service. I really think it's getting even better now more than ever. And I'm just so grateful for all the people that have supported us over the years, who've been such great champions for us. It's been awesome. And we have so many other cool things that have started because of OAccess. It's all going to funnel towards it. So it's looking like it's going to happen in a much different way than I thought it was going to happen, but it's still going to happen.
Story of our lives.
That's right.
Oh, I know. I mean, that's the thing too. And man, I'm just so glad because, you think, boy, I'm ready to do this. And a lot of us with projects think, oh, we're ready to do this. But you know what? There's certain people that have come into our lives since I announced this idea. I praise God they've come into my life because they have given me such great advice and such great wisdom that I didn't have when I first announced the project. So I'm just thrilled that I didn't send the plane up and then have it crash. I wanted to take off and keep flying.
Yeah. I think this is actually really apropos of your whole journey on this, Butch, because I've noticed a lot of times I'll set out with a certain vision and then it ends up being that, but it happens in a way, in a timing with people, and completely differently than I would have thought. Anything that I would have envisioned myself. But I think you're experiencing that right now, and I think you shared a little bit. But it's funny when this thing that you were working on, it's like all of a sudden this other thing kind of wants to happen, and there's just all this favor, and it just seems to like flow easily, while something else maybe gets put on the back burner for a bit. I know that's been the case for me, but I think you've experienced a lot of that recently.
Amen. And we really have. We've got a new project. It's a Christian cartoon that we're doing, and we already had a press release come out about it, so I can talk about it. We're going to announce it even bigger. But it's called The Garden, and through the making and production of that, I've just met so many amazing folks, and we're learning so much about the way the entertainment industry works. Things are changing on a daily basis in the entertainment industry right now. And it was good to sort of take a moment and go like, all right, let's just hang on for a second, see what we're doing. And sometimes as frustrating as that can be, it's the best thing because you need that education and that wisdom before you launch out.
It's true.
Absolutely.
That's really good. Okay, we got another question from Peter. I really like this question because I'm sure a lot of people struggle with it. This question is, what would you say to a struggling amateur animator who's having mental block with a project of sorts? So how do you overcome mental block?
Wow, you guys, anybody could answer this question. I know it's formed it's formed toward an animation question, but a mental block, especially in the artistic realm, can be a challenging thing. But think about this: someone like Peter, who's an animator, and I'm an animator, I'm an artist, I'm a writer. Every single thing that I do every day, I've got to fill a blank page. I have imagine my job every day is a blank pile of paper, and I've got to fill it with something cool that somebody's going to pay me for, and that's what our artists do every day. And how do you deal with that mental block? I never let it stop me. If I want to draw a picture of Cosmo from Fairly Odd Parents, for some reason I just can't get it, I'll draw a picture of something. I never let my brain have a time to think it can't do something. It's like, look, you might not be able to do this, but we're going to do this right now. So if you keep the juices flowing, something creative is going to come out. The worst thing you can do as an artist, writer, creator, auteur of any kind is put it down and walk away for a long time. I'm not saying I'm not saying not to take a break. You can definitely take a break, but don't let it get to the point where you don't come back and you're afraid to pick it up again. Don't be that guy who puts the guitar down and doesn't pick it up for 9 more years and wondering why you can't play anymore. You've got to keep your fingers loose. You got to keep loose and keep at it.
I don't know how this translates to an animation, context, but I had a really interesting podcast interview with somebody a couple weeks ago who was having a similar kind of block with writing. This was specifically them writing a book, and they didn't really know where to start, but they just had this, kind of unction within themselves that they had to do this. And so they started off, this is really interesting to me. They just started off by like commentary of what they're doing. So it's the middle of the night. I woke up randomly. I felt like I was supposed to start writing. I'm up here now. My wife probably thinks I'm crazy. I don't know why I'm doing this. And then boom, all of a sudden it's just like this just torrent of like vision and thought just started pouring through them.
It's almost like unclogging a drain. It's
Right.
like there's something there,
Yeah.
but if you don't dig at it, the clog's just going to stay there. And I'm so glad that happened because because I'm a writer too. I'm either writing or drawing something, and it's like, I got a 15-page script to get done most every week, and it's like I've got to write something down. Maybe the line of dialogue I have right here isn't the funniest line of dialogue, but it moves the story forward. Then I'm going to come back and fix it. But at least if you put something down, you can always look at it again and fix it. Putting nothing down accomplishes nothing. Putting something down will accomplish something. You know what I mean? Even if it's not the right something.
This is an artistic one. I heard about this one, which was, I think it was a pottery class. And this was actually a psychological experiment that they did where they had two groups of people. One group was, they were trying to make the best possible pottery, sculpture or whatever it was, right. Like the one time, right. And we just kind of talked about that earlier. There's a time and place for that. But I think that can be balanced because then there was another group where they said, just make as many as you can. Like no worries, no like editing yourself along the way or whatever. You're just going to go. And they ended up making 25 or 30 of these things in the same period of time. But because they were free and they were in that flow, they ended up making better quality as well as better quantity because they weren't like holding themselves back. And I know as a writer and a speaker, sometimes that can happen to me where it's like, when I just like, okay, I'm just going to start going. I don't care. I'm not going to edit. And then you get into a flow. So I don't really have a right-brained, artistic like writing and animation aspect to it. But I wonder if you guys think there's any legitimate truth to that as far as just kind of letting yourself go and not worrying about the quality at the beginning.
There's a scientific fact that animals that believe they're free will produce more animals. Meaning, if there's cows in a field and the fence is really close and the cows can see the fence, they feel more trapped. So you'll see a lot of times farmers will put the fences way, way, way out. So the cows don't feel so enclosed. They feel they have more room to move. They feel free. They produce more when they feel more free. Same goes with us. We put those barriers up. You're going to feel real restricted. And there's times to have barriers if you got to write a certain something or draw a certain something. But stay loose at first, man. Be creative. Stay creative. But then you have to become a disciplined creative person.
Right.
If you're a songwriter, yeah, you play guitar, you're loose, but then there comes a time you got to write a song because you got to make money, and you're a session musician. You got to sit down and play their music. Like someone wrote music and you have to play it. That's where you become a disciplined creative person. You're not just out there, yo, man, I'm on a street corner. There's that time and place, but then there's a time it's like, look, I wrote a song. You're a guitar player. I hired you. Play these notes. That's what I need you to do. Absolutely. So we got to learn a balance between the two.
I love what you said, Butch. What was it that those who feel free produce more? Was that something like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Feel free to produce more. They do. And then same way with a society. Look at any society that has more of a free mindset than an imprisoned mindset or an oppressed mindset. And you'll see the people of that society produce more.
Very true.
It's true. Do you think there's ever a time where, especially for creatives, that it's important to kind of put yourself under someone else and do their creative vision, like bring to pass their creative thought process? What are your thoughts on that? Because I had a conversation recently with a creative and they were talking about that. Like, now's my time to submit myself to this other creative and make their vision happen.
Totally. I agree with that 1,000%. And here's why. For example, just in my case right now, this new show I'm working on, I'm producing it. I created it. I'm running it, and I'm training a team of new writers, people that there's like 5 of them and they want to be animation writers. Actually, there's 4 of them. And some of them have written a little bit, some haven't, but they're under my my guidance right now because I'm showing them how to write animation scripts. And I didn't want to take the word animation out of there. I'm showing them how to write scripts, how to write dialogue, how to format it, how to structure a story. There's like 1,000 elements that go in. So they're learning from me because I've done it for 35 years, right? When I was younger, I had people that mentored me. How do you draw this? How do you write this? And I would learn from them. Hopefully your mentor's a good person. They're not an egomaniac. They'll teach you. But definitely, you're going to have to learn from somebody. You're just going to have to. And once you learn, then you make it your own.
That's really interesting. And I wonder if it might apply to Tony Oni Savage's question, where he's talking about struggling to get noticed from others by their communication skills. And what are some breakthroughs and how to manage and get people to listen to you? I wonder if maybe just even watching and kind of going under the tutelage, so to speak, like you just mentioned, Butch, but in a sense of people who are strong, powerful communicators who do get noticed and get their unique visions, kind of the people catch the vision, so to speak.
I'm gonna hop in here real quick. I don't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry. I saw his question. The question is, someone with a unique vision is struggling to get noticed from others. Let's just stop right there. How are you struggling to get noticed? I don't know all the particulars. Are you struggling to get noticed, meaning you're getting up every day and hoping someone notices you? Or are you out hitting the streets every day? Are you online? Are you going down every avenue possible? Because that's how you get noticed. When I was in my 20s, I took guitar lessons, acting classes, stand-up comedy classes, art classes, and I was working as an artist, and I was getting auditions as an actor, meaning I was getting acting jobs. I was doing everything I could to meet as many people as I could and learn as much as I could. And did those classes cost money? Yes. Did the guitar classes cost money? Yes. I wasn't a millionaire. I didn't take super expensive classes, $20 a half hour, these kind of things. But you're going to have to invest a little bit in your career. You have to, you have a computer. Everyone's got a laptop. People find the money to get a laptop. What are you doing on that laptop every day? You're playing games? You're writing emails? Are you online surfing? Are you on Facebook all day? I'm an old person. I say Facebook. Are you on there all day long doing that? Are you trying to find an avenue where someone can appreciate what it is you're doing? Are you trying to meet people? And I'm not sitting here getting on Tony. That's just the question that came up because I want to see everybody here succeed. That's why we're doing these lives right here. By the way, we have all kinds of resources here at Vision Possible. Reach out to Ryan, reach out to Nathaniel, reach out to Carly, reach out to me, reach out to Julianne. Do our services cost a little bit? They do. But what are you willing to invest in your career? Are you going to go take a college class that costs, thousands and thousands? I know a young person right now that's in a college learning how to do what they want to do. And they've been in college for 4 years. And I'm glad they're doing that. But after a while, it's time to get out there and start doing it. And I want you guys, and by the way, are you going to fail? Yes, you're going to fail. But then you're going to succeed because you're going to be bad at what you do at the very beginning. But then you're going to start succeeding at it. You're never going to be great at the beginning, but you're going to get great after a while. Some people get great quicker than others. But you've got to get out there and do a lot of it on your own because that's going to make you stronger.
That's right. It's just so good. All right. I love this question. We're going to switch gears for a second. We're going to take this question from Joshua. I love it. Carly, this will be a question for you. What are the pros and cons of different social media platforms like TikTok versus YouTube?
Carly, did you hear that?
I'm muted. Sorry. I said, awesome. Me and Josh have actually talked before. So good to see you again, Josh. Pros and cons of social media. There are different purposes for different platforms and they change every single day. TikTok is where it's at. So that is where you should be. If I remember your business correctly, your business should definitely be on TikTok because that's very popular and the algorithm is built around becoming viral. So not that it's a guarantee you would be viral, but it's a lot easier to be discovered on there than YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. So it's the fastest way to grow organically. YouTube, but TikTok is also like the pro to that is that it's really fast to grow, but the con is that it takes a lot of time because you have to post at least once a day to keep that up. My dad, Butch, does that a lot, so he can speak to that more. And then, YouTube is kind of like not as popular anymore. That's longer content. Again, needs to be posted. You post at least once a week on there. easy to grow as well, but does take a lot longer than TikTok. Instagram is great for engagement and building a brand. Very slow to grow on there. It takes literally forever. And then Facebook, not the best for organic growth, but for paid growth with ads, a great spot.
That was really helpful, Carly. I love how you broke that down.
Oh, thank you.
Ryan is just a huge Carly fan tonight, and I can see why.
I'm a fan of everybody. Everybody's had something great that I took it from, and I think it goes back to what Nathaniel said. We're actually all doing this in our respective ways. And Carly, I was just curious as a follow-up, is there a way to kind of blend the best of both worlds? Like, did you grow really quickly organically on TikTok and then somehow parlay that into YouTube or Facebook or Instagram even?
Yeah, I think that TikTok would be a great place to funnel into Instagram. So if you grow your TikTok a lot, you'll get a natural growth on Instagram. It happens to everyone. But just know that once you become viral on TikTok, you need to be considering yourself a content creator and not just a once in a lifetime viral video creator. Like those that become viral on TikTok with like 1 or 2 videos, that's cool, but it doesn't impress people because it's just 1 or 2. But if you become a content creator, that needs to be something that you kick into gear right away, because that strategy has to like really push you forward, because it's such a big industry that like everyone will overtake you. So once you get some viral videos under your belt, you have to become that content creator where you're posting consistently on everything. So you're going to kick it into gear like times 10. So that way you can continue this growth. But I would say TikTok into Instagram is the best way to grow 2 places at once.
I would recommend, because I'm on TikTok, I would recommend TikTok first, because TikTok videos you can post on Facebook and Instagram. You can transfer them right over, and YouTube as well. You can just put them right onto those platforms. The other platforms, you can't do that as much. Like I can't make a video on Instagram and then post it on TikTok. It doesn't work that way. But TikTok is a great place to take stuff. Here's another example too. I've been on Instagram for like almost 10 years, and I have 155,000 followers. You're like, oh, that's good. But I got on TikTok about 2 years ago, and I have 1.9 million followers.
Oh my gosh.
That's how fast I've grown on TikTok.
Well, you grew to 1 million in 6 months.
Yeah.
I did. I grew to 1 million in 6 months. I'm about to hit 2 million, but I mean, I'm so appreciative of all the fans, but TikTok grows you faster.
Wow.
It does.
And it's not, I used to think it was just for like, kids, teenagers mainly, but I'm finding out even at financial conventions, like,
no, it's
investment advisors, financial planners, they are crushing it on TikTok. I couldn't believe it.
But helpful tip, Instagram does not like it when you repost TikTok as a reel, because your username and the TikTok logo is on there, and they find that offensive. So there's some things out there that you can take off.
Some of us only have so many minutes in the day. I don't have time to do enough.
I know, but there's a
Instagram thing
helpful
all
tip
the time.
for those that want to boost it more. Remove the watermark and the logo, and you should be golden.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, that's totally true. But see, I find offensive. I've been on Instagram for 10 years and only have 155,000 followers. That's what I find offensive. So come on Instagram, show a little love, buddy.
Yeah. Wow.
All right, that's awesome. Okay, so here's a great question, and this one I think, Butch, this is a great one for you. How is the entertainment industry different today than it was 15 years ago?
Well, since I'm probably the oldest one here, and I can actually remember back 15 years ago, back when dinosaurs roamed the earth. Well, there were dinosaurs in every office, number one. There was lava everywhere. No, I'm kidding. It's way different because the online world has completely exploded and changed everything. We were just talking about TikTok. That didn't exist 15 years ago. Instagram barely existed. Facebook, I believe, had just started getting big. So did YouTube. I mean, there's people that you've never heard of in your life that can walk into a room and be considered rock stars because they're huge online, and we never have seen them in a movie or anything. So, for example, Carly used the phrase content creator earlier. You can go outside right now and do a funny video of your dog and take 4 seconds to make it, and for some reason it'll go viral and you'll get 4 million views on it. Who knows why? Yet you can sit and work for days editing something perfectly, storyline, music, perfect lighting. It gets 1,000 views. No one understands it. No one gets it. But that's how the entertainment industry is different. Also, the amount of gatekeepers has increased. Before, when I was like, say back in the 80s, when I was in my 20s, there were like 4 gatekeepers. There was ABC, NBC, CBS, Paramount, that's 4. There was Universal, MGM, and what's like Fox. They were all there. Oh, sorry, 7 gatekeepers. That was it. You could, and then it was Nickelodeon, Disney, about around 10 gatekeepers. Now there's like 1,000 gatekeepers. You don't need to have those gatekeepers let you in. You can get viral and huge just doing something on your own without the permission and the budget of a huge studio anymore.
Yeah, it almost seems like there's, in a sense, no gatekeepers. If you can just be, like you said, a random person who posts a 4-second, video of your dog, it's almost like there is no gatekeeper. It's kind of democratized, or crowdsourced, like what's popular.
Yeah, and you'll see there's a young man on YouTube, Ryan's Toy Review. He started off as a 4-year-old kid who would just look at toys and review them, and his parents filmed him. They were completely poor. Now they're multimillionaires because this kid has like 30 million subscribers, probably more, like probably 200 million subscribers on YouTube. It's absolutely insane. And but then once you become that viral person, you've got to become a content creator and do it because your audience wants those videos. But it's very interesting how it's worked. So that's how it's a lot different. Scripted entertainment isn't the king anymore. It's the experience that's the king, not the script.
So good. So good. Okay, we got a question from Lynn Tara.
I know Lynn. Lynn and I have worked
You?
together. He saw us here on Vision Possible. He's a Vision Possible alumni.
That's right. So Lynn's question is, I'm in a tough spot, lost my job, have $500 to my name. Rent is due on the 1st. Bills are approaching too. What can I do? I've been working on my goal for 4 years, which all seem for nothing now.
Wow. Now, Lynn, I'm sorry to hear that. We haven't spoken for a while, and I know we were sort of launching you into a place. See, Lynn, what Lynn's trying to do is, I admire him tremendously because he's trying something very, very hard, which is to sell a show and to sell a project. And that's a very huge lift. It's extremely possible, but it's a big, big deal. I think he's put a lot of energy into that. I'm in a tough spot. I lost my job. I'm sorry to hear that. I don't know the circumstances behind that. $500 to your name, rent due on the 1st, bills are approaching too. What can I do? Well, I've been working my goal for 4 years with all seems for nothing. I'm going to tell you this right now. It's not for nothing, Lynn. Your goal is going to happen, but here's what you have to do. We have to do what we have to do in times like this. You're going to have to get a job doing something. Even if you want, I don't know your project is an artistic one. I know you're an amazing artist and you're a project creator. Perhaps there aren't any jobs in that field right now, but you need to find a job anywhere to pay the bills, to give yourself some peace of mind. And I know what's going to happen. When you find that job, the people that you meet in that job are going to help take you to the next step you need to get to. You know what I mean? Just because it's not the thing you want to do, it could be the step that leads to the thing, which leads to the next thing, which leads to the next thing. If you have to work at a pizza parlor, you have to work at Walmart, whatever you have to do, there is no shame in any job that you do. Just you need to do something to keep the bills paid and to make ends meet, and that happens a lot. That's the first thing I would tell you. The project's amazing. It just comes down to timing. The one project that you're in love with might not be the right time for it right now, but there will be a time for it eventually.
It's good. It's really good. Yeah, there is a set time and a season for everything.
Do you guys agree with that? You guys see the question too. What do you guys think of that?
No, absolutely. I completely agree with that. I think that, Lynn, everything that is going to happen in your life is going to happen and be used one day. Like I've seen that in my life. Like there's been times in my life where I feel like I'm doing something that's totally not having to do with where I know I need to go, right? It's things that may be peripheral to them, like Butch was saying, whether that's working at a pizza parlor or getting a job at Walmart. Like there's things that you think, well, that has nothing to do with me trying to build a show and wanting to, fulfill this vision that I have. That's okay. It's going to come up later. There's going to be skills that you'll develop in that job that you'll need down the road. And so I think that even in this tough season right now, it's keeping the vision before you, keeping yourself excited, not looking at the vision as the problem, because that's not what the problem is. The problem is not the vision. 4 years is just the start of the prep time. you'll need to take this next season, continue being prepared. It's going to grow capacity on the inside of you. And that capacity of going through all these things is going to make you a stronger person when it comes to actually getting your vision rolled out. So I've seen that over and over in my life.
Yeah. And like, you know,
Yeah. One thing,
go ahead, Carly.
the phrase that comes to mind is preparation time is never wasted time. And like, you're just getting started. And so the only way to fail at something is if you quit. So this is a really crucial time in your vision period that if you want to quit, that's fine. But just know that you're not a failure just because it hasn't taken off yet. This is the point that you push past that point of failure to achieve your breakthrough. So when you get to the other side and your vision does come to pass one day, you can look back at these times and say, wow, if I could do it then, you can encourage others to say, you can do it too, because that's where I came from.
Yeah.
So just know that, yes, get a job right now with whatever it is to pay your bills and to give you that peace of mind, like my dad said, because it's so true. But do not give up on your vision, because right now is the most crucial time and the easiest time to do that, because you're like, this is not working out. It's taken so long. Vision takes a long time. But that's why, as I've said before, sight is different than vision. Vision is seeing what you want to have happen, and sight is just seeing what's around you. So don't let what you see around you influence what you want to be one day.
Right. And you know, I know somebody who works at a multi-million-dollar company, and the man who owns the company was bankrupt 30 years ago. The man went bankrupt and then was at the bottom of everything, and rock bottom, then decided, I'm going to pick myself up and teach people how not to go bankrupt. And so then he has this multi-million-dollar company now. So there is a bright spot to everything. I know it sounds cliche, but you cannot stop. And Lynn, you're very young. You have your whole life ahead of you. I want you to keep going.
There's so much to all that, man. I was just thinking too, like, it does sound cliche, and it sounds like we're just throwing these things that you've probably heard a million times, but every single one of us has been there. And it is so true. Those times that were tough, I was learning things in those seasons. Like I said before, the seed's in the ground and it's working. You just can't see it and other people can't see it yet. But those same things are just being scaled now, and the fruit is finally evident. But the other thing is, you know, when you are forced to go through those things, that can be a lot of times the very inspiration that ends up being part of the vision. Like I was thinking about how comedians, there's this kind of old saying that like comedians are only funny when they're broke and they're like, you know, struggling to make it, you know, and then when they get really like famous and rich, and this is, of course, isn't everybody's kind of a generalization, but it's like a lot of comedians will talk about how they were worried they would stop being funny because they couldn't relate because their life was good. And it was those like down in the, you know, trenches kind of things that other people could appreciate, you could commiserate with people about. And I think there's some truth to that. But what Carly said is so true about you being able to find inspiration in those times, and also don't feel like a failure because you have to get a regular 9-to-5. I had a friend who was wanting to be a real estate investor, but he was, you know, making like $800 a month. I'm like, you know, in order to invest money, you have to first have money. So you might need to get a job right now. Just get a regular 9-to-5, get some employment, get some basic foundational structure to your life and your finances, and then that'll build.
And, you know, not everybody's blessed and fortunate enough to have rich parents or rich relatives or to be born into a family of wealth and privilege, right? In fact, 90% of people aren't. But even people that aren't find a way. If they're driven, they got to have the drive. And Lynn, I know you have the drive to do it. And there might be some areas you step into. There might not be the perfect area right now, or there might not be like what your dream is every day. But you're going to learn so much through that experience, and every experience is a valuable one. It's a valuable one. In fact, I would recommend not even selling a show until you get some more experience, because there's gonna be a lot of people think selling a show is it, but there's so many issues that come up when you have a show on television, and they're mostly people issues. When you're dealing with a staff of people, will so-and-so get their job done? Is this person trustworthy? You're not even gonna have those skills until you're out in the marketplace learning more about other jobs. And I don't know how many other jobs you've had, but I'm not saying you'll get a million jobs, but all this experience is good. I promise you that.
Yeah. I mean, I look at where I was a couple of years ago in just my leadership skills and ability. I think you can read as many books as you want. You can go to as many conferences as you want.
Right.
it doesn't make a difference until you actually have a team and you're responsible for filling 40 hours of each person's life every week.
And by the way, you're the one who stays, and Nathaniel, you're the one who stays after everybody goes home, right?
Yes. I mean, and that's the thing, is like, it takes personal discipline and effort in order to get to this place where you have the ability to pitch this show, own this show, be on a network with this show, and manage a team. So nothing replaces experience. One thing, Lynn, that really, really helps me is autobiographies. When I'm in scenarios that sometimes are really tough, or life is tough, there's issues in life, sometimes just reading an autobiography of someone else who's been there, or biography of someone who maybe has failed and gotten up again. Like recently I read The Ride of a Lifetime by Bob Iger. Man, it's a great autobiography.
Tell them who Bob Iger is.
Yeah, Bob Iger was the CEO of Disney for years. He overseed the big acquisitions of like Marvel and Star Wars and
Fox.
some of the big Fox News. Yep, all those things. And he actually came through like the news industry and ended up working his way up to be CEO of Disney. But it's an incredible story to hear, and just the points in his life where he's made serious mistakes, especially early on. He was part of he was really good friends with Steve Jobs, and some of the stuff that Steve taught him. Like, it was really cool just to see his progression. But that encourages me. So when you're in a season, or I'm in a season where there's maybe a dry season, is what I like to call it, where maybe things have dried up, you don't have much money, you're having to struggle to make ends meet, man, sometimes just reading a biography of someone who's been there and done it is just so helpful. So
I read a great biography. I wish I could remember the exact title of it, but it was about the Wright brothers, who, everyone knows who the Wright brothers are. They basically created the airplane. But these guys, they're obviously brothers, and they were at the turn of the century when everything was the Industrial Revolution. Everybody was trying to invent an airplane. Nobody could do it. These guys were bicycle builders. They would build bikes. They had a bike shop, and they were like the best bike builders. Say that 5 times fast. Best bike builders. They were the best bike builders ever, and they would work like 12-hour days in the bike shop. They'd shut down the bike shop at like 8 at night, and then they would work on the airplane until like 4 in the morning. And then back then, where they lived in Ohio, it wasn't windy enough to try the plane out. They're like, "Where's the windiest place?" It was in Kitty Hawk. I think it's North Carolina.
Yeah.
By the beach. They're like, we had to go. So they would take their the plane was like a big kite basically, and they would build this giant kite. They'd put it on a train in pieces, put it on a train to go all the way down to North Carolina to test out their plane. There's a lot of work that goes into discovering what you're made of, whether it's building an airplane, creating a show, whatever it is. There's going to be, and by the way, their first airplane didn't work, just so you guys know. I'm a big surprise. Like 12 of them didn't work. And it wasn't until I think it was Wilbur Wright. He was sitting on a hill, like having his lunch, and he saw the birds and how the birds would turn their wings when they fly. And he's like, "That's it." And he put some cables on the thing so they could control the flaps basically, and that's what enabled controlled flight. It's an amazing story.
It is. A lot of people are familiar with the TED Talk by Simon Sinek, Start With Why, and he talks, I think, about the difference between the Wright brothers, who were just this like ragtag band of these two guys like working in their bicycle shop. And then there was this really well-funded guy with all these connections in the government, private sector industry.
Right.
And he just like he thought he was all this and that. And like, so I guess my point to you is not to be discouraged, because those guys are just scrappy little startups. Nobody'd heard of them, and they ended up revolutionizing the world, even when this guy who was really well capitalized had all these connections, and they, because of the grit and tenacity and that inspiration, that unique perspective, really, I think, put them on the map.
And you talk about a vision. I'm going to put people in the air in machines that fly. I mean, it's impossible to imagine now because we see them every day. But just imagine a world like that. It's like you and I saying, "I'm going to invent a time machine, and it's going to work. I'm going to invent a teleportation machine, and airplanes will be obsolete. You're just going to be able to teleport." You'd think it's exactly like that. It's that impossible right now.
Yeah. Wow.
It's so true. That's so true.
True.
Any business or vision you have or book you want to write or whatever you want to do is worth the effort it takes to get there. Even if sometimes it's a dry season, it's going to be okay. It's going to make a better testimony on the backside.
Like, for example, this Vision Possible thing that we do. We're not Tony Robbins. We don't have billions of people following us, but we're going to someday. And it starts by doing these Q&As with a couple dozen people. watching these things, you know, and I'm more than happy to do them because this is experience that we're building up for other things. Have I done things in Nickelodeon that were a success? Yes. This is just like the beginning of those things. We're starting this off with a group of us that are friends, and my daughter and my wife and everything. We're gonna make this thing huge. I don't know when that's gonna happen, but it comes from doing the little things right now, which is stuff like this.
That's right.
That's
right.
By the way,
well,
Ryan, you're fired. Anyway, let's move on.
Did I just get fired real quick? Did you just slip that in there?
No. Oh, did that come out of my mouth? I'm just joking.
Why did I get fired? What was it about me?
I had to pick somebody. I picked you first.
He likes to pick on me, just so you guys know.
You know, no, I can't fire Carly because she's my daughter, and Nathaniel makes the broadcast work, so I had to pick you.
I'm the default sacrificial.
we'll let you do the broadcast next time, Ryan, so you can pick on me. It's okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll do one more question, and this is a question I think all of us, even those of you who are watching, probably know the answer, but I think it's worth dissecting this a bit. So this is the question: is there a shortcut to wealth? Is there a shortcut to wealth? You know, I think a lot of people, you know, they say,
Gosh,
"Oh,
I
there's no
hope there
shortcut."
is.
Yeah, there's no shortcut to wealth. It's just grinding hard, saving money, investing money, and maybe one day, if you work hard enough 9-to-5 jobs over the course of your life, and you have a good pension. I don't know if that's even still a thing in the world today.
It is. I'm reading about it this week, actually.
See, I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's the traditional thinking. But I'm curious on what our Vision Possible coaches think about this, because there's a lot of truth to that statement.
Wow.
Well, I've been talking a lot. So, Ryan, you're the wealth guy around here. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Yes and no. I think it's one of those things that it can happen very quickly, but in my experience and probably a lot of my clients, it's those, like Butch said, doing those little things day in and day out, like this, you know, like just those sketches or those, you know, writing those 50 words for your book per day or whatever it is. But what I have found is that consistency and compounding are really powerful. Like, in the same way that people know the interest compounds exponentially over time, your interest earns interest that earns interest, et cetera. Knowledge and experience compound the same way. And so on the one hand, I'm thinking a fortune quickly won is a fortune quickly lost because you haven't learned the process of how to steward it. But I can just speak from my own experience, you know, just quite honestly, like it wasn't that long ago where I was kind of in the same spot to a certain degree that Lynn was talking about. And in that season of learning, all of a sudden I was starting to compound these different ideas and practices. And now it's like all of a sudden overnight, things just seemed like they took off, but it was a gradual process, but then it was very sudden at certain points. So I think you need to have the character and the mindset to steward it, but that doesn't mean it has to take decades necessarily.
Yeah, and I would say this, see if you agree with this, Ryan, the 9-to-5 job usually isn't the answer to wealth. It could be a good starting place. But the 9-to-5, you're trading your time for money, and there's got to be some learning about how finances work. Saving is important, but it's then what do you put those savings into? You just don't leave them in the bank. I mean, I'm sure there's some thought about that you must have.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But it does. I think it does start there. In fact, I was just having this conversation, Butch, a week or two with one of my clients, a couple of them, and I was like, we were talking about like, oh, you know, look at what we were doing, how petty that was back in the day, and he's like, yeah, but you know, that was the starting point. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't have got to here. This led to this, and learning to steward that. And then but ultimately to create like significant wealth over time, it's never from working a job, no matter how highly paid. It's about learning how to create wealth through assets and letting your money work for you instead of you working for money.
And I'm going to add one more thing. And I meant to say this during the entertainment stuff I was talking about, the experience. Relationships are huge.
Yep.
You cannot get anywhere, especially in entertainment, without relationships. How many bad movies are made?
Right.
Come on.
Right? They all hire their friends.
Yeah.
They hire their friends. So they hire those friends get hired because they're friends. That's who you hire first. When I was making Fairly Odd Parents, I hired my friends. Then some of them worked out, some of them didn't. But you make new friends. But and by the way, you'll probably get a job someday because you're somebody's friend. So it's relationships.
Yeah, there's a saying in the real estate investing community and businesses, that your network is your net worth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
And it's so true. And then when you start getting around other people, like this is what we're trying to cultivate on these calls, like-minded people who are successful, who are going after the same things. All of a sudden you start rubbing shoulders with people who there's this kind of gravity where like the better, you get around people that have more success and are moving forward, you attract more of them, they attract more of people into your life and vice versa. And that is such a powerful dynamic for sure.
Amen. And like, by the way, like you said, rubbing shoulders, that's why people that are isolated, especially these days with COVID and stuff, everybody locked into their houses. I encourage people to get out because you're going to meet people that are going to take you to places you never thought you could go. And are they all going to be amazing? No, but some of them will be. But you're going to have to get out there to find them, and you need to have the courage to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, there is no shortcut to wealth, but you can speed up the process, right? So you can speed up the process to wealth by investing in yourself, right? By becoming a better person as far as your knowledge, as far as your wisdom, as far as your understanding. It's the more you invest in yourself, the quicker your path to wealth will become. And so, listening to people like Ryan and understanding, hey, some of the traditional wisdom out there of just save and store and hoard, especially in today's day and age with hyperinflation as it is, you're actually losing money, right? And so understanding, hey, what are the investments that I need to put in? What are the decisions I need to make today that's going to get me more money tomorrow, right? So yeah, there's no shortcut to wealth. You've got to earn it. You got to build a business, right? You've got to have an idea. You got to bring it to market, right? But the process to get there doesn't have to be years and years and years of hard labor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well said.
Awesome. Well, that brings us to our time. This has been really great, guys. Thank you all for watching again this month. We are live every first Monday of the month, so you can always tune back in, always hear from us. Go to visionpossible.net for more information on what we do, to get in touch with us, and to learn more about our coaching. But guys,
reach out, guys, don't be afraid. Reach out to us, and like I said, reach out to Nathaniel, me, Carly, Ryan, my wife, Julianne. We're here to encourage you. And if you want to do it privately, we can absolutely do that. Because, doing it on the Q&A, this is just to kind of give an overall view. We get really, really detailed with you guys in private sessions. And I think it's definitely worth exploring that.
It is. Any closing thoughts or comments before we head off? I
just want to thank everybody. Like you said, it is June. The year 2022 is already half over, which blows my mind. And guys, another 6 months is going to go by. It's going to be Christmas already, and then we're into 2023. Time doesn't stop for you. It doesn't stop for me. We all have the same 24 hours. So please use that time wisely. Are you going to fail a little bit? Of course you're going to, but you're going to probably succeed way more than you fail. So don't be afraid of that.
Yeah, right. I would say time can be your best friend or your worst enemy, depending on how you choose to make that happen.
Mm-hmm. And be an example, guys. Why don't we become the new branch on our family tree? Why don't we become the new way of doing things? Why don't we become the one who stepped out and made something cool and changed everybody's life? You're one idea away from changing everybody's life and your family.
That's good. That's worth ending on right there.
Yeah.
See, I'm going to shut up. I'm out. I'm done.
That's it.
That was a mic drop.
You do it and you get out. You go like
That's right. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. See y'all next month.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.